Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today we'll talk about the pilot program that US is announcing for stamping within the US. I'll give you my thoughts on what this program is going to look like. We'll also talk about some of the consulates that are opening, some important questions that many of you have asked in the comment section, and also I'm going to talk about investment, especially in the CDs, which are certificate of deposits, as well as some ETFs that I have researched for my own investment. I'd like to share them with you. So a lot of important topics that you will be interested in. So watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration and lifestyle related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, before you take any action, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Now this week, United States had invited Indian Prime Minister on a state visit. So he was here for about 3 to 4 days and he was in a jam-packed agenda. There were state dinners, there were meetings with the business tycoons, and there were a lot of announcements that were made. There was also a joint statement that was made that had some interesting things in terms of ties between US and India. It seems like many of the big companies are willing to invest in India, and that is a great news because this is a foreign direct investment for India and it can be only good. And it seems like a lot of people are divided because of their political views. But keep the politics aside, just purely look at it from an investment perspective. This visit by Indian Prime Minister Modi was really about bringing in foreign direct investment into India. At the same time, there were also some partnership deals announced between NASA and India's ISRO and many other sectors. If you read the joint statement, there are a lot of industries and a lot of sectors that US and India will be working towards on. So this must be only good for India. That's what I believe. Now let's look at what was the announcement in terms of immigration. Now people who have been here for long enough, such as myself, we know that up until 2004, there was a facility for stamping within the United States. I remember at least a couple of times when I had an opportunity to send my passport to Department of State and get my renewed H-1B stamped. That was until 2004, and for some reason they took it away. And it was really a loss because now in the meantime, people who are doing their extensions and who need to travel have to take an appointment in the consulate outside of the United States and get their visa stamps. Only then they could enter the United States. So this is what is happening now. And because of the pandemic, it has created a lot of backlog at the consulates. Although they have been prioritizing the appointments for F1, H1 and L1 visa holders, the appointments for visitor visas are still out by 6 months to 8 months. Unfortunately, in 2004 and due to the 9/11, there were some border security concerns and there were some laws passed, and this stamping within the US was discontinued. But in February of 2023, just a few months back, a representative of Department of State, Julie Strupp, in an interview mentioned that they have planned to run a pilot program later in the 2023 to test out US visa renewal option within the United States. Now they mentioned that this would be a stateside or domestic stamping, which means obviously within the US. Now they mentioned that the pilot program would mainly cater towards H and L visas to begin with, but they did not clarify on what do they mean by pilot program. In my opinion, the pilot program means they have selected only H and L category of visas to stamp within the United States. All the other categories of visas will still need to apply from outside of the United States in a consulate. So that's what pilot means. And depending on the success of this pilot, they will expand this stamping to rest of the visa categories. Now what is special about it now as compared to February is because it was just a statement made by a representative from Department of State. But now with a joint statement made by US President and Prime Minister of India, now it becomes a real thing. It really puts a rubber stamp on it, because before this it may have happened or it may not, because it was just a statement by Department of State. But now this is endorsed, this is on the White House joint statement, so you can assume that this is going to happen 100%. Now when they will start this program is still unclear. They are saying they will start it later in 2023. It could mean September, October. My speculation is they will start in the new fiscal year, which is October 2023. We shall see. Now the clear wording in the paragraph 48 of the joint statement says that the leaders welcomed an announcement by the US Department of State that it would launch a pilot to adjudicate domestic renewals of certain petition-based temporary work visas later in the year, including for Indian nationals, with the intent to implement this for an expanded pool of H-1B or L visa holders in 2024 and eventually broadening the program to include other eligible categories. In this they say that in 2023 they will only include certain petition-based temporary work visas later in this year. They don't say if it's H or L visa, but they go on to say that they will expand the pool to include H and L visas in 2024. This is a little bit contradictory to what was said by the representative of state back in February, but we can safely assume that even the pilot will include H and L visas. At least that's what I interpret. Whatever happens, the stateside visa stamping is sure to happen, so you can take solace in not requiring to travel outside of the United States just for stamping purpose. Now another aspect that I mentioned on my Twitter account is how will this impact the burden or processing times for things that are happening within the United States. Now remember, USCIS is responsible for adjudication of most of the visa-based petitions within the US, and Department of State is responsible for petitions outside of the state for such as consulates. So giving out green cards, giving out EADs is Department of State mostly. They work in tandem, but still they have their distinct responsibilities. Now where will this fit in terms of stamping is not clear. My suspicion is it will go to Department of State. If that is the case, it will not impact the USCIS workload. But if that is not the case, if USCIS is involved in the stamping, then it will definitely affect the processing times for the rest of the applications that they are processing. So we'll see what happens. Now the second point I wanted to make is Modi also made an announcement or day before yesterday in the diaspora meetup is that they are opening one new consulate, Indian consulate in Seattle. Now this will be helpful for people in the Seattle and region, basically West Coast, to renew their Indian passport or get their Indian visas if needed. Indian visas are needed when you become a US citizen for the first time, when you're still waiting for your OCI card. Or also OCI petitions are also made at the consulates. This will be a welcome news for a lot of people on the West Coast. Another thing is they are opening two new consulates, US consulates in India, one in Bangalore and one in Ahmedabad. Now we can assume that this will also help the processing time or appointment times, or it will ease up some appointment wait times. So that is some good news. Now one quick clarification I wanted to make regarding compelling circumstances EAD is that you should not solely rely on this particular option if you get laid off on H-1B. On H-1B, if you haven't applied for I-485, you will lose your status after 60 days if you cannot find a new employer that is willing to transfer your H-1B. In that case, compelling circumstance EAD will become necessary, but don't rely on it, because most of the people who will get laid off will be in a similar situation unless they have certain compelling circumstances like a medical condition or they have a huge loan or things like that. They may not get this compelling circumstance EAD. So don't put your hopes too much on this particular one. Or even if you qualify or if you think you will qualify, hire a competent lawyer. Your lawyer should build a case for you based on the facts that you have, based on the compelling circumstance that you have, to convince the Department of State that you indeed need an EAD urgently. And if you do get that EAD, that will put you in the period of authorized stay for the validity of EAD. That doesn't mean you are off the hook. You should still try to convince your employer to file an H-1B or transfer your H-1B, because you don't want to remain on EAD. That is not a long-term solution. So that is just one point I wanted to make. If you want to get my opinion on your specific situation, do contact me on my Calendly, set up an appointment with me, and I'll be happy to talk to you. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I wanted to let you know, because of the interest rates that were hiked by the Fed in the last full year, about 15 times, The actual savings account related APYs have been risen to above 5%. Now, if you haven't already invested your money, if your money is just sitting in the bank in your normal checking or saving account, you are just losing value in terms of inflation. Money sitting in the bank is losing value. Remember that. Warren Buffett and a lot of investors have told us. So you want to make sure that if you have a huge chunk of money just sitting in your bank account, that is actually losing value year after year. So you want to invest it. Now, because of these rate hikes, the savings account interest rates have risen to around 5%, and these are few options, certificate of deposit kind of accounts. Now, if you select 6 months or 12 months or 24 months CD accounts, for example, TD Bank is offering right now 6-month 5% interest rate, 5% APY. For 12 months they are offering 4.75%, or for 24 months they are offering very low. But this keeps changing, because just 2 weeks back I locked in a rate at 5% for 9 months. That option no longer seems to be available. But regardless, these rates are still high. Another one that you might be interested in is Apple's savings account. Now, this is only available for people who have an Apple card or Apple credit card. If you do have Apple credit card, they also allow you to open an Apple savings account, and they are offering 4.15 APY when you open a high yield savings account with them. It is tied to your Apple card. So they give you this cashback, daily cashback for the purchase that you make using your Apple card, and that goes into your savings account, and it will immediately start accumulating 4.15 APY interest rate, and it is a compound interest rate. So any interest that you accumulate goes back into the pool and calculated on a daily basis, and you will get a monthly payout. So this is not the best rate in the industry, but it is up there. 4.15 APY is also good interest rate. Now, the third example you have is with Webull. Now, they are offering through Webull Cash Management up to 5% APY for all your uninvested money. So you don't need to open a checking account with them. If you have an investment account, and if you have money sitting that is uninvested, that will earn you 5% APY. There are no fees, there are no minimum balance attached. Just listen to this sponsor's note, because I also have a link in the description through which you will get some free stocks. So I know for sure that some of you are interested in stock trading, day trading, buying cryptocurrencies. I want to present you Webull. Webull is a trading platform. It allows you to buy stock, it allows you to buy options, do options trading, and also it allows you to buy cryptocurrency. Webull 9 was released with a brand new home and market page, asset page, and economic calendar. Also, Webull Cash Management was launched with 5.8% APY with no fees attached and no minimum balance and unlimited withdrawals. This is amazing. This coming May, new Webull USA users can still enjoy 5.8% APY and get up to 12 free stocks when making an initial deposit of any amount. Each is valued between $3 and $3,000. Feel free to take advantage of this. Join through my link and you will get those free stocks. Now, this was all about investing in savings account or CD accounts. Now, what about investment accounts? Have you ever tried investing into stock market or ETFs? Now, you may be a day trader or investing in individual stocks, but how much of time commitment do you have to watch each and every stock? I personally don't have much time, so I only invest in certain stock, but the rest of it I invest in ETFs or index funds. Now, I have certain index funds to share with you. My choice of index fund is highest dividend paying ETF. When I did some research, I figured out that there are a couple of things that you want to consider when you investing in index fund. Those are what platform you are using. You should probably use a traditional platform such as TD Ameritrade, which was recently acquired by Charles Schwab, or you could also use Vanguard or Fidelity. Now, the reason I am saying is, if you are a long-term stock investor or long-term funds investor, these traditional platforms will be suitable for you. But if you are a day trader, then you can use something like Webull or Robinhood. Now, these are my 3 top picks based on the highest dividend paying ETF. The first one is VYM, that is the ticker. I typically look at 5 parameters. The first one is expense ratio. Expense ratio is what will you actually pay as a fee to the portfolio manager on a yearly basis. So obviously, the lower the fees, the better for you. So you want to see if the expense ratio is lesser. Anything below 0.1 or 0.2 is good for me. you also want to see dividend yield. Now dividend yield usually is between 1% to 4 or 5%. Companies who make profits do two things out of it. One, they invest their profits back into their business, such as Amazon or Meta. They are big investors of their profit back into their business because they want to grow exponentially. So they don't give back dividends as much or no dividends at all, but they are investing into the future. The other set of companies are who are value stocks. What they do is they kind of give their profits back to their investors in the form of dividends. So you can see anywhere between 1% to 4 or 5%. You don't want to go very high dividend paying company, because then you want to be suspicious. Why are they not investing in the future? Why are they not reinvesting their profits into the future? It also depends on their stock value. If the stock value is too high, the dividend percentage might seem low, but it's still good for you. But if the stock value is dropped, the dividend percentage may see higher, and that's where you want to be cautious. I would stay with the companies that give 1 to 3% of the dividend payouts. You also want to see 5-year yield and 10-year yield. It should be around 8 to 10% or even 12%. If you are in that range, I would go with those kind of ETFs. So my top ETFs are highest dividend paying ETFs are VYM and SCHD. Now VYM is with Vanguard and SCHD is with Schwab. These are both invested in S&P 500 and they have a low expense ratio of 0.06. So you are not paying as many high fees on a yearly basis. The return on investment is also above 7 or 8%. 10-year yield is more than 9%. So this is really good long-term investment. There is also one more, SDY. These are all invested in S&P 500, and I love those stocks because they include tech stocks like Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, Amazon and such. So really, if you have got your bonus or if you have cash lying around, you might want to consider investing in these ETFs and grow your savings. I'm not an investment advisor, but I do study them for my own purpose and I will be happy to share them with you. Now I also have recommendations on top S&P 500 ETFs, growth ETFs and AI related or artificial intelligence related ETFs. If you want to know more about them, do watch my next video. And for that, you will have to subscribe and hit that bell notification, because when I drop that video, you will get that notification. So that's really all I wanted to say in this video. If you like the content of this video, do hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.